Nurses experience burnout in the hospital setting every day. This is one nurse's story of her burnout experience. From the first grade, I knew I wanted to be a nurse. So imagine the toll it took on me to find myself burned out after 20 years, from trying to cover the staff shortages by working 10 days in a row, sometimes 16 hours at a time, or trying to herd 80 patients through exams a day. And to top it all off, when I couldn't do the impossible, I got replaced by somebody younger and faster. My burnout came about because in every job I had, they worked me until I dropped. If I could work 10 hours, they wanted me to work 12. If 12 works, then why not 16? If I could work 5 days in a row, then why not 10? And then, when my skills weren't as acute as when I had first started, they replaced me with someone younger that they thought could be faster. I was working as hard as I could, and yet I was a failure in their eyes. I repeatedly said I needed more help and that I was overwhelmed, but no relief ever came. I needed to work, so I moved to another hospital, but the conditions were the same. They would tell me the budget was limited, and yet they kept building new wings and getting new equipment. Nurse staffing was not a priority. So after enduring these circumstances for as long as I could, I changed jobs, and I worked in private practice where money wasn't an issue. One doctor I had wanted to see 80 patients a day, and when I told him we couldn't do this, he was furious with me, and shortly thereafter he decided he could find somebody else, and that was fine with me. I worked for a while in a feminist clinic where every doctor was a woman and every nurse was a woman. During that time, I felt I had power and that people respected me for what I could do. I was empowered to say, you know what? I think the recovery room would work better if we did this. And everyone would say, that's a pretty good idea, let's try it. If I had said that at a hospital, a doctor would have said, we've always done it this way and that's how we'll continue to do it. The feminist clinic had a teamwork atmosphere, without the competition that I had found in a hospital. We all respected one another, we nurtured each other, and we would go to lunch together every Saturday and share things about our lives. My last nursing job was at a long-term care facility. I liked working with the seniors because they appreciated even the tiniest things. But after working there a short time, I started getting calls at 3 a.m. The day shift nurse can't come in. Can you do her shift as well as your 3 to 11 shift tomorrow? I would explain to them that I wouldn't have any time to sleep, but then they would ask if I could work an extra half shift. They would ask over and over again, and I was not good at saying no. I felt if I didn't work when they asked me to, there would be repercussions. If I didn't play along, I wouldn't get pay raises or promotions. I soon realized that even when I did what they asked, I still didn't get pay raises or promotions. I felt unappreciated. That's when I left nursing to open a bed and breakfast. Running a bed and breakfast is very much like nursing. My husband would tell people, Sharon gets to give them lots of TLC, nourish people's bodies, and change beds. The only thing she doesn't have to do is bathe them. I say nursing is a calling. If you don't answer it, it keeps calling. So I found this way to heal. To me, the bed and breakfast is as spiritual as nursing. I believe everybody who stayed came to bring me a gift or to receive a gift. People told me incredible stories from their hearts and souls. I felt I made a difference just by listening. I even nurtured my housekeepers. I listened to their problems and helped them in any way I could. I encouraged them to move on to better jobs because I saw more potential in them than they could see in themselves. I helped build confidence. I think nursing gave me the gift to help people feel good. The empathy I developed throughout my nursing career has made me a better host, mother, and friend. I always felt there was a spiritual aspect to nursing. My job was to make patients comfortable and help them heal. Sometimes I knew I said the right thing at the right moment, and that would fulfill me. I loved nursing when I was able to really care for patients, but most of the time, competing and conflicting pressures got in the way. I believe that cost me on a spiritual level. I'm sure I attribute it to my burnout. I don't believe any of my patients were ever ungrateful. I was willing to tolerate the conditions in order to have the opportunity to give them the best care I could, the care they deserved. Many times I went to work exhausted, fearful if I didn't go to work that day that my replacement wouldn't be as caring or as tender with them as I was. I was a hospital patient recently and found it interesting how nursing has changed in the 10 years since I left the profession. I saw a difference between the young nurses and the older nurses. The young nurses are technologically oriented. They came in, looked at the computer, read all the dials, made their notes on the computer, and then left. I felt like I was a piece of equipment when they were in the room. The real nurses, who tended to be older, came in, asked me how I was doing, and then looked at the machines and entered the data. I had one really bad night when I was in a lot of pain. The next day I was supposed to have a chest x-ray. The charge nurse called the x-ray and asked them to bring up the portable x-ray machine, but they refused and said I had to go to get the x-ray. I explained to her that I didn't want to go to the x-ray department because they kept me there forever, and I had to have the oxygen on underneath the mask. The mask gets hot, and after a while I can't breathe. She decided to take me to x-ray herself. It took a long time, and she could see that I was having a hard time. She reached over and held me and comforted me. That made a big difference for me. I was so happy to have a real nurse caring for me. I no longer had the bed and breakfast, and my recent hospital experience inspired me to return to nursing. I may return in an educational capacity. I know I'll be able to find a niche somewhere, and I'm motivated and excited to care for people again. That was just one nurse's experience of burnout. Yours may be similar or completely different, but just know that you're not alone.